she was riding her bicycle, she turns around, she says, "Okay, Mommy, I love you." The last thing I told Amber was, "Stay with your little brother and you'll come right back."
Amber desperately needs justice. I'm not gonna give up on her. Never.
She was riding her bike, carefree and full of life. In just 8 minutes, everything changed. A man grabbed her, forcing her into his truck as she screamed for help. By the time police arrived, she was gone. What followed was a desperate search, a horrifying discovery, and a case that still haunts investigators to this day. This is the disturbing story of Amber Hagerman. Simple bike ride turned tragic. Amber Hagerman was just 9 years old, a bright and energetic girl with her whole life ahead of her. She was visiting her grandparents in Arlington, Texas, a place where she always felt safe. That afternoon, Amber and her little brother, Ricky, decided to ride their bikes around the neighborhood. They ended up at an abandoned grocery store parking lot, a spot where kids often rode for fun. After a while, Ricky decided to head back home, but Amber wanted to stay and ride for a little longer. It was a decision that would change everything. A dark-colored pickup truck suddenly pulled into the lot. A man got out, grabbed Amber, and forced her into the vehicle. She kicked, screamed, and fought as hard as she could, but he overpowered her. Within seconds, they were gone. A nearby witness, an elderly man, saw everything happen. He immediately ran inside and called 911. Police were dispatched right away, but by the time they'd arrived, there was no sign of Amber or the truck. She had disappeared without a trace. Everything happened in a matter of minutes. One moment, she was a carefree little girl riding her bike. The next, she was gone. The search that shook a community. The moment authorities got the call, they sprang into action. Officers rushed to the scene, questioning neighbors and searching the area for any sign of Amber. As news of the abduction spread, the community came together, desperate to bring her home. Flyers with Amber's picture were printed and distributed throughout the city. Volunteers joined search teams, checking fields, alleys, and abandoned buildings. News stations covered the case, urging anyone with information to step forward. Amber's parents, Donna and Richard, were devastated. They pleaded on television, begging for their daughter's safe return. They refused to believe she was gone for good. Detectives reviewed security footage from nearby businesses, hoping to spot the truck or get a clearer image of the suspect. Unfortunately, there were no cameras in the area where she was taken. Days passed, and there was still no sign of Amber. Despite all efforts, no one knew where she was or who had taken her. But the worst was yet to come. A chilling discovery leaves no hope. 4 days after Amber was kidnapped, on January 17, a man was walking near a creek behind an apartment complex, just a few miles from where she had been taken. Something in the water caught his eye. At first, he thought it was just debris floating downstream. But as he got closer, he realized what it was. It was the lifeless body of a little girl. The man immediately called the police, and within minutes, officers arrived at the scene. Investigators quickly confirmed what everyone feared: it was Amber. Her body was pulled from the water, and the details of what had happened to her were horrifying. Her clothes were missing. She had been brutally attacked. The medical examiner later confirmed that she had been held for 2 days before being murdered. The cause of death was determined to be cut wounds to the throat. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community. Parents who had once let their children play outside freely were now afraid to let them out of their sight. Strangers no longer felt like neighbors. Everyone was on edge, wondering if the person responsible was someone they passed on the street. Amber's family was shattered. The hope they had held onto for 4 agonizing days was gone. Their little girl was not coming home. A predator who vanished without a trace. With Amber's body found, the focus shifted to finding her killer. Law enforcement put every available resource into tracking him down. They knew this was not just an isolated crime, it was the work of a dangerous predator who needed to be caught. The only witness to the abduction, the elderly man who had seen Amber being taken gave a description of the suspect. He recalled seeing a man in his 20s or 30s driving a dark-colored pickup truck. But beyond that, details were vague. The truck had no distinguishable markings, and the man's face was never clearly seen. Detectives followed every possible lead. They investigated known offenders in the area, checked local mechanics for reports of any dark trucks matching the description, and scoured the region for anyone acting suspicious. But every lead ended in frustration. No physical evidence was recovered from Amber's body or the crime scene. There was no DNA, no fingerprints, no tire tracks, nothing that could point them to a suspect. Whoever had done this had left no trace behind. Months turned into years, and still, no arrests were made. The case grew colder, but the police never gave up. They continued to revisit the evidence, hoping that advances in forensic science would one day provide a breakthrough. But Amber's killer had disappeared, blending back into society as if nothing had happened. A name that created a lifeline. Out of this unimaginable tragedy, Amber's mother, Donna, refused to let her daughter's death be meaningless. She knew that if the public had been alerted right away, someone might have seen something that could have saved Amber. She began working with law enforcement, government officials, and media organizations to create a nationwide alert system for abducted children. The idea was simple but powerful. When a child is reported missing, an emergency alert is sent out through television, radio, and digital billboards. People on the road, watching TV, or even looking at their phones would immediately be notified. The system was named after Amber, the Amber Alert. Since its creation, Amber Alerts have saved hundreds of children. Thanks to the immediate public awareness they generate, many abducted kids have been found in time. Amber may not have been saved that day, but her legacy continues to protect other children. Because of her, countless lives have been spared from the same fate. The monster still walks among us. Despite all the years that have passed, Amber's killer has never been found. Law enforcement continues to work the case, hoping that new leads or advances in forensic technology might finally provide answers. DNA analysis has improved significantly, and investigators are re-examining evidence in the hopes that something was missed. The Arlington Police Department and the FBI have never closed Amber's case. They still encourage anyone with information to come forward. Even the smallest detail could be the missing piece of the puzzle. Somewhere out there, the person responsible for Amber's death is still free. He could be living a normal life, walking among unsuspecting people, knowing he got away with an unimaginable crime. The biggest question remains, who took Amber Hagerman, and will he ever be caught? A family's endless nightmare. For Amber's family, time has not healed the wounds. The pain of losing her, combined with the frustration of not knowing who did it, is something they carry every single day. Every year, they hold vigils in her honor, keeping her memory alive. They light candles, share stories, and remind the world that Amber was more than just the face of an alert system. She was a daughter, a sister, and a little girl who was taken too soon. Donna still pleads for justice. She still hopes that one day, someone will come forward with the truth. The years may pass, but the nightmare is never ending. Amber's story is not over. The search for her killer continues, and until justice is served, her family will never stop fighting for the answers they deserve. Amber's tragic story led to a system that has saved hundreds of children, but the person who took her remains a mystery. Could advances in DNA technology finally bring the truth to light? Or is the man who did this too good at hiding? Share your thoughts in the comments. Amber desperately needs justice. I am not going to give up on her. Never. If you have any information about this abduction case of Amber Hagerman, please call the Arlington detectives at 817-575-8823. If you found this case as chilling as I did, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.